congratulations on the new show.
Thank you.
Everyone's really talking about it. Super exciting. How does it feel that it's already out?
Gosh, it does feel like it's been a while.
Yeah.
So I'm ready. I'm ready to show off kind of the thing we made. It's sort of like the reveal at the end of each episode we do. You know, we work real hard, and we hope the homeowners like it, and we hope the audience likes it.
For sure. And it's a little different from what people know for Hallmark. So what was it kind of like going in, and what can we expect from the series?
Hallmark has a really strong, I think, brand identity. So I think the thing that was, at top of mind all the way through is how can we continue to reflect the brand while we move into this new space, which is home renovation. I think we achieved that.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it started with families.
Yep.
Selected, right? We were very deliberate about picking families that had really great stories to tell.
And deserving.
Mm-hmm. And the houses had a lot of history and a wonderful story to tell as well, because homes do have stories to tell.
Yeah.
And just built the show from there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think, that makes us a little bit different than a lot of sort of home reno and design shows is we are very much driven by the stories of the people. Yeah. And that our inspiration and our ideas really come out of the conversations we have with them and the sort of observations we have of the home.
Yeah, and how do you choose what you're going to keep from the home and put it into a new home?
That's right. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
It's a lot of debate.
Yeah.
Do we move this? It's a lot of negotiation sometimes too. Well, if we do this, next time I get to have my way, some of that. But in these homes, because they've been around for so long and families lived in them so long and they've touched every part of it, I mean, there were ways for us to be able to keep something and slightly alter something else, but that space still held its meaning, It was a challenge, and there was definitely some debate, especially in the bookcase episode I'm thinking about. We were trying to decide what to do there because the dad built them, like his hands touched them. But in the end, like I said, it's all about coming up with a happy medium there.
And homes are so intimate, I think if we really think about it, very few people actually come into our homes. Very few people, our friends, our closest friends, our family members, and we were all up in people's houses.
All in the business.
All up in their houses. And that's it's a very intimate thing to be doing. And then we're going to change it, and we're going to move your furniture, and we're going to touch all your stuff. I think that's different for a lot of people. A lot of people don't have that experience. So everything was handled with care.
Exactly. That's what I'm going to say. We were very careful.
Yeah.
About what we did. We didn't want to make anybody, we wanted them to be happy
at the
end of the day. We didn't want sad tears, we wanted happy tears.
Everybody knows that famous Trading Spaces episode where the woman looks at her new house, she opens her eyes, looks around and goes, I hate it.
Yeah.
That was like the biggest fear.
Yeah.
Every single time.
Totally. Now, was there anything that you kind of unearthed that you're like, all right, we have to change completely what we wanted to do?
I don't recall like a complete change. Was there anything like that happened?
I'm trying to think of something. We definitely there was a color that went up that we changed after we saw it in the space. Am I right?
That happened a couple times.
Yeah. Okay. All right. You don't want to give too much away. But sometimes you have to see it.
Yeah, you have to.
We all get that little sort of thing. We're like, okay, I think this is gonna be represented, and then you put it on the whole wall, and you're like, uh-oh.
Right. I don't know if that was the right decision.
Yeah.
But for us, because we're not knocking down walls, I think you run into a lot of that when you're doing like full gut renovations, and oh my God, I didn't know that steel beam was there supporting the ceiling.
Yeah. Totally.
And then you have to completely change course.
Yes.
But that wasn't the case for us because we weren't doing those types of renovations. We were doing more cosmetic changes, so we didn't run into too much of that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. And Hallmark is all about the feel-good story. Is there something maybe when you were through this process, when you sat back and you're like, this is why I wanted to do this show?
Oh, yes.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Hands down.
I think Keisha's reaction was one of the strongest. Keisha had moved into the house that her father left her. Her father was no longer with us. And when she came into the house, I think she always felt that he was in the space. And what we tried to do with design was to sort of remind him that, he wants to live there. And she had this really, really
deep emotional
reaction.
Yeah, to what we did. Yeah. I think of Rebecca and
Lorraine.
And a lot of the families will say to us, we're so happy you're here.
Yeah.
We're so happy you're here. And that's why we really took it personally to do a really great job for them.
And we never made them say that.
No, we didn't.
We did not.
We didn't. They were just like, because a lot of these families likely would not have done this otherwise.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so we come in and not only do we give them a beautiful new space, but we make it so deeply meaningful to them and to their families.
Yeah.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Most people don't have the time or the money, frankly.
Yeah, and I know we saw your woodworking skills, which people really didn't get to see much of prior.
Yeah.
So how was that like, showing everyone about that?
I mean, it's wonderful. I've worked with Hallmark for many, many years now, and they've been always very, adaptive to me, and I've gotten all these opportunities from them. So, the idea that I get to share another part of myself is thrilling, because as an actor, you just want to keep growing, you want to keep expanding, you want to show what you're interested in. So I was thrilled to get that opportunity.
Was there maybe like an item that you made that kind of pushed yourself really with your woodworking skills?
I mean, you kind of, every single time, I set out to make a project, I'm always asking myself, like, how can I go further? I currently just finished, I love building chairs. Chairs represent a lot of sort of engineering and sort of difficulty as far as joinery, and I just built a chair for my daughter. And it took far too long. She will probably be too big to enjoy this tiny little chair for her. But it was also just this opportunity to stretch myself and, do steam bending for the first time, and to figure out how to do these complicated Maloof joints.
Do what? Maloof?
Maloof.
Did
Sam
you just
Maloof.
make up that
Sorry.
word?
Sam Maloof is a famous California woodworker.
Oh, fantastic.
Much celebrated for his rocking chair. And I've always
Learned something new today.
Right? You didn't
but
know
that's the
that.
thing. You look at other people's work and you go like, oh, can I do that?
Yeah.
And so that's what I'm doing. I'm just always pushing myself to sort of new techniques.
Yeah, and Olivia, you have such great design, an eye for good design. What was it like going in and kind of curating all the different rooms?
So I do it day in and day out with my own business, right? I've been doing it for 21 years. But what made this really different was learning the stories of the family. Like, we really got down into the granular details. All right, so talk to me. How did this make you feel? That's one question that a lot of people, I don't ask a lot of people that in my design consultations, but we want to know, how did you feel when you spent time here with your grandmother? Yeah. What was that like? Talk to me about what that spaghetti sauce was like. Like, we want to be able to experience. Yes, yeah, we looked at a lot of pictures.
We looked at a lot of pictures, yeah.
We almost kind of want to like get into their shoes to understand what that experience was like, so that we could honor that in the best way possible. And that made this really special for me, because that's not something that I do on a daily basis.
Yeah, was there maybe like an outdated kind of trend, or maybe a piece that you wish could come back?
Ooh, an outdated trend I wish could come back. I think a lot of what's old is new again. That's a trend in itself. Yeah. Nostalgic is the term for it.
Oh, I don't know that.
Yeah, it's a thing.
Nostalgic Maloof.
Maloof. It's a vocabulary session right now.
Right.
Yep.
Like, we had mustard yellow double ovens in the house I grew up in, but appliances are coming back in all sorts of colors.
That's so true.
Honestly, everything is kind of a trend now. So whatever you want is the trend.
Earlier today, we were talking to someone, and they were like, Olivia, wallpaper, yes or no? And we kind of both looked at each other and were like, yeah. Wallpaper. Absolutely.
What's maybe the overall message that you want people to take away from the show?
I mean, I think it's in the title. Home is where the heart is.
Yeah.
And maybe the message is like, take a little more time for yourself and your home, and give it the sort of love it deserves.
Yeah, and mine is, don't be so concerned about what's trendy. Like, who cares?
Yeah.
What does it mean to you?
Yeah.
Design a space that is reflective of you and what you love and your family, and that's it. Lean into that, yeah.
That's good.
It's true.
Yeah,
That
you're
is
right.
good. And are there maybe any like behind the scenes secrets from filming, since we are celeb secrets, that we wouldn't know just by watching the show?
Luke was shirtless all the time.
Oh my God.
You're welcome.
Yeah,
Write
it
that
was
down.
the summertime in Georgia.
Okay.
It was very, very hot.
Every time I looked over, I'm like, dude, put on a shirt. What's
It was
happening?
mainly to preserve the dryness of the shirts.
Okay.
Because I was just concerned I was going to look like a disaster all the time.
Which he didn't. I think it was kind of cool to see you covered in sawdust, and you're in there, you're doing the work.
Now I'm trying to think of a secret that I can tell on you.
There are none.
I can't think of anything.
I'm perfect all the time.
No,
I'm not. Not at all.
no.
Let me not even put that out there.
Yeah, I can't
I
think of
cried
anything. You cried.
quite a bit.
Yeah.
Yeah, we would.
Yeah.
If it wasn't on camera, then we wouldn't know.
We were both very moisturized in different ways.
Yeah.
There we go.
There was a lot of liquor.
That's the secret. This was so fun.
Thank
Oh,
you.
thank
So
you.
much. And congratulations.
Thank you
Thank
so much.
you.
Thank you.